Good morning.
Good morning.
We have some feedback. Good morning. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Larry Clay and I'll be chairing today's session. Panel members are Dylan Reed, Peter Reed, Nellie Volport, and Nazila Atarodi West. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelists when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons, and public bodies are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Today, I'll call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may also ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I'll comment when you're reaching the 5-minute mark. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we first call on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation, and when all speakers are finished, the applicant has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, do we have any minutes from previous meetings?
Good morning, Chair and panel members. We do not have any minutes ready for adoption for today.
Thank you. Any declarations of interest from panel or staff? See none. Any deferral requests?
For you, Mr. Chair, just to get to deal with any items to be closed, there are no files to be closed for today. There is one request for deferral. It's from the agent for item number 12, 737 Craven Road, file number A0268/24TEY. And we could probably deal with this item at this time for the request for deferral.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online. We do also have 3 registered speakers, but we can speak to each one about the request for deferral.
Great, thank you. Item number 12 is 737 Craven Road. This is an application to construct a new 4-story detached dwelling with a front covered porch, a front integral garage, a rear 2nd-story deck, and a rear 4th-story balcony. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of the subject property, decision A0152/20TEY affecting the subject property, and a Toronto Local Appeal Board decision affecting the property, and we have received a deferral request. We have staff reports from Metrolinx and Urban Forestry. We have correspondence in opposition from 1035 Craven Road, 13 form letters in opposition from residents on Craven Road, materials in opposition from 727 Craven Road, and correspondence and materials from 1035 Craven Road. Do we have the agent?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and fellow committee members. My name is Roshan Thurgan-Assumpter. I'm a planner at Design Plan Services located at 900 the East Mall, Suite 300, and I am the agent for this application.
Great, thank you. Can you just give us a reason for your request for a deferral, please?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, as noted in the formal deferral request letter submitted as part of my material submission, a deferral is being requested to allow the property owners time to prepare revised drawings and to obtain a new zoning notice based on consultation with community planning staff. And therefore, I would request this application be deferred, and I will be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Great, thanks very much. And we have some speakers lined up?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we do. We'll unmute the resident at 442 Rhodes Avenue, David Stella.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we don't have David Stella currently here, but I'm going to move to the second speaker, Claudia Shanslin.
Good morning.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can. If we could just have your name and address, please.
Hello?
Hello?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. If we could have your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Claudia Ennis Hanslin, and I live at 1035 Craven Road.
Okay, Claudia, we've received a request for deferral. All I really need from you is whether you agree or not to the request to defer.
Yes, would you just correct the record? I did not put in the request for deferral. I am one of the residents on Craven Road who actually took a day off work today. I'm a nurse, and it highly inconveniences me, but I'm going to defer to the decision of Jessica Rust, who lives closer to the build.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll unmute Jessica Rust.
Ms. Rust, you've been unmuted.
Hi,
Good morning. If you could have your name and address, please.
my name is Jessica Rust, and I live at 727 Craven Road.
Thanks, Jessica. Again, so we're only dealing with the request for deferral. Do you agree or not to the request to defer?
If they would like to defer and redo the plans, I'm okay with that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Okay. Panel, any questions?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, we've made multiple attempts to contact David Stella, and we haven't been
Unable?
able to, so we'll move back to the agent.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the agent? No. Okay, we'll take this into committee. Can I have a motion to defer?
Chair, I'm
Reid?
happy to move a motion. I think the agent has made it clear that he's planning on revising the application to address some concerns. So I move a deferral of the application.
Okay, seconder, Nellie. So moved by Mr. Reid to defer, seconded by Ms. Volport. All in favor? Application is deferred. Thank you. We return to item number 1. Bear with me for a second. Okay. Item number 1 is 29 Methuen Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 3-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 3rd-story rooftop deck. The existing rear 3rd-story balcony will be demolished. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Decision number A1271/16EYK affecting the subject property, an arborist report, and a staff report from community planning.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item. So at this time, we'll unmute the agent.
Okay. Good morning.
We're just calling the agent at this time, okay?
Okay. This is Mr. Massandrea.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
Who's this?
I think somebody accidentally added my number to the WebEx. I'm sorry. I'm going to hang up. I think.
Okay. Is Leo on the line?
We're still attempting to contact Leo. Through you, Mr. Chair, perhaps maybe we move to item number 2, and then we can come back to item number 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on a second. This is a separate file. time I find this, we may get back to the first one. Okay, Sabrina, do you want to continue with number 2? Yeah. Okay. Okay, we will move on to item number 2. This is 187 to 191 Niagara Street. This is an application to alter the existing one-story commercial building by constructing complete second, third, and fourth-story additions with rear decks and a rooftop common amenity space. A total of 3 parallel parking spaces will be provided on site. The committee has before it a copy of planner survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and renderings, copy of the letter from the agent dated December 22nd, 2023, decision number A0934/20TEY affecting the subject property, and an arborist report, civil engineering letters dated or received April 16th, 2024, landscape planning rationale from Elevate, shadow study, transportation letter prepared by BA Group, received April 16th, presentation materials from the agent. We have email correspondence from Transportation Engineering Coordinator, Infrastructure and Development Services. Staff report from the Senior Business Development Officer, Business Growth Services, Economic Development and Culture of the city. Advisory staff report from Metrolinx. 2 form letters in support signed by 199 Niagara Street and 680 Wellington Street. We have correspondence in opposition from 103, 101, 107 Walnut Avenue, a 17 signature petition in opposition from owner occupants of Niagara Street and Walnut Avenue. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
You want to flip your microphone?
Good morning.
It is.
There you go. Could we have your name and address, please?
Most certainly. It's Benjamin Larson. I'm partner at Elevate Planning and Project Management, 15 Gervais Drive, Suite 503, Toronto.
Great. And you, ma'am?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. It's Eileen Costello from Arid Burles LLP. I'm counsel for the owner and applicant.
Great.
And with us today is a representative of the owner applicant as well as the project architect just behind
That's
us,
great.
if there's any questions.
Welcome to everyone. We'll need a presentation on this item, please.
If you could please put slide 2 of my presentation up, I'd appreciate that. And so what you have before you today is a minor variance application needed to allow for a 4-story office building on the site. For the committee's knowledge, we've proceeded through a logical, orderly, and transparent process consisting of meetings with city planning and our design staff through the SPA review. With respect to public outreach,
Your deck's not up.
that's fine. Regarding public outreach, while the presentation loads, we've held an open house, which occurred. Can I have slide 2, please? Just to line up. With respect to public outreach, we held an open house back in August 2023 for the 31 properties that comprise the immediate site block. And of those 31 properties, the mass majority have not submitted any objection communication to our variances that we're proposing. So all in all, regarding process, we've been at this for over a year before coming to the C of A to finalize the zoning aspect. And I, along with city planning, share the same opinion that this is an appropriate development for the context that the site finds itself within. If I could have slide 3, please. Regarding city communications, city planning has not submitted a letter because they have no issues or conditions related to this application. City transportation has expressed no objections, and city economic development has expressed support. Slide 7, please. Just for context, the site is just west of the downtown. It's located within the King Bathurst PMTSA, and that's a station area centered upon the planned Ontario Line subway station, which is a higher order transit system that will be soon a short walk from the site once constructed. The contemporary planning framework of the PMTSA promotes growth, including employment, to optimize use of higher order transit. Slide 8, please. The site is also within Area 2 of the Garrison Common North Secondary Plan. Slide 10, please. On slide 10, we overlaid the Area 2 lands on the city land use map. The site is shown by the yellow star, which is designated neighborhoods, and the orange stars represent development activity on other neighborhood designated sites where the heights range from 3 to 13 stories. We find this helpful in characterizing the broader context and character of the area. Slide 12, please. This slide will show the immediate site context. The site is shown in blue, and then the red areas show mixed-use area designations where there are higher density buildings, some across the street from the site. And then the gray area at the bottom of the screen is a regeneration area where there is a 30-story approval in place. Slide 13, please. Now, drilling into the finest detail of the immediate context is the site's block itself. This is the 31 or so properties that we reached out to back in August. This block includes an eclectic mix of uses and building types. Also of note, the blue area at the bottom left of the screen was approved in an 08 variance, allowing for a 7-unit, 4-story townhouse development, which was not built. Slide 20, please. Regarding the variances themselves, density and height are the main ones cited in the objections. And this slide, slide 20, please. This slide will show the density variance, which represents a 55% exceedance. And then in orange, we highlight that the committee has approved density exceedances in the range of 20 and even to 100% in the area. So furthermore, the 08 townhouse approval behind this site achieved exceedances upwards of 48, 60, and 61% through a variance. So within this context, it is my opinion that the 55% density exceedance is considered minor as well. Slide 19, please. Regarding the height variance, this shows the Niagara elevation that is with colored annotations. The green shows the as-of-right zoning height of 12 meters, but this is based on an old bylaw framework that preceded contemporary growth directives. In pink, this shows that 2008 4-story townhouse variance height approval. And then in orange, this shows the approximately 18-meter top of roof level proposed on the site, which represents the majority of the proposed height. And above this, we've annotated the limited vertical projections above that height. So in my opinion, the proposed height is appropriate under the lens of the contemporary planning framework and based on the immediate and broader context that the site finds itself within. If I could have the cover page, please. In my opinion, the variances meet the 4 tests as they maintain the intent of the OP and zoning, as the use is permitted by both. While the height is permitted by the OP, it does require relief from the zoning, but this is an old bylaw framework that does not recognize new growth directives, including the PMTSA, as well as planned higher order transit. They're desirable by proposing a viable economic expansion that will support various planning objectives in a built form that fits in the general character of the area. They're minor when you appreciate the scale of development in the immediate and broader context, and the associated impacts related to shadowing to the west are limited, as you show in our presentation, by approximately 1 hour in the morning time. And the impacts associated with privacy are mitigated by the fact that it's an office to residential relationship. The rear of the building includes step backs that terrace away from the residential lots west of the site. And the site backs onto a public lane, which in itself acts as a buffer. And the rear lane itself includes an eclectic mix of rear garages, backyards, and car parking pads. There are also various existing conditions, including the site with former industrial buildings built to near 0-meter setback conditions. Additionally, city planning and urban design have thoroughly reviewed this proposal through the SPA, citing no issues with it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Panel, any questions? Okay. If we could have the first speaker, please.
Sure. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm going to ask Joshua Beatty to come up. And then we do have another registered speaker online.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Joshua Beatty. I'm an owner resident of 95 Walnut Avenue.
Okay, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. If you could pull up the letter that James Parker, who has joined me along with a few other residents, submitted. I will refer to one of the exhibits in a moment. As a representative, I'm coming today as a representative of the 17 signatories to the letter that James Parker submitted, among others who were not signatories of that letter. We are the direct community impacted by this development. I think it goes without saying at the beginning, we have been appreciative of the engagement from Woodcliff team. I think some behind me over the last few months and how they've engaged with us, held an open house, which they mentioned in their submission. And that has been, I think, a good effort, a good faith effort to be a good neighbor at the beginning, given some of the prior history of the building. However, as the immediate community, we do have some significant concerns, which I will address, mainly the 4th story and the 2nd story balcony. However, we do not come with only concerns. We have some suggestions that we humbly submit before the committee. So, on the 4th story concerns, number 1, we don't believe the 4th story should be allowed. It is not worth the overall cost to the integrity of the neighborhood under the bylaw or the official plan, regardless of the new growth initiatives, and we will speak to that. It's not a minor variance within the meaning and intention of the official plan. For example, and I'll read some of these. Number 1, it violates the 12-meter area height restriction significantly, especially if you look on the Walnut side, which has that 4th story for the Walnut neighbors really is a fifth story. It dwarfs every other zoning compliant building in the neighborhood. It compromises the land use designation of the neighborhood, which sets an unreasonable precedent within the community. It also, in the building, accounts for only 19% of the overall office space. So it's not significant, and it's not a requirement of intensification, given the second and third story additions. Again, from the Walnut perspective, if you will allow us, we look at as the third and fourth story additions. So in short, we propose that the development be capped by the proposed third story addition, which would come in measuring just over 13 meters and represents an acceptable minor variance of about 10% above the 12-meter statutory maximum today. With regard to the second story, our second major concern, there's a few pieces to this, and if you could go to Exhibit 6, actually, I believe, in the letter, which we might be there almost. Exhibit 6 of the letter, page 13. And so we have two main concerns with the second story balcony. One being the sunlight impact. I know there was a shadow study submitted, though it is still significant, and the privacy impact. For many of the neighbors on the Walnut side, our second stories, and in some case third story bathrooms, have a direct line of sight into the building. Said otherwise, the building has direct line of sight into our bathrooms and into the backyard gardens. That is we are an eclectic and old neighborhood with many different people that share similar concerns, and we use our backyards a lot. If you go into that backyard laneway, it is public, but it is a neighborhood, it is a community. And that building and the proposed second story balcony, which has no offset, which is an additional wall that will go up in the backyard and impact all of us, looks directly into us. Now, in fairness, we appreciate that it's a 9 to 5, hopefully Monday to Friday type building, given the use. However, that means for a lot of the residents who spend time in their backyards, they'll be looked at directly by people in a way that they wouldn't before. So we are submitting, at the very least, there should be a setback of the second story and a setback of that balcony. If not removed entirely, that balcony. So the minor variance relating to the maximum permitted building depth, which is item 6 of their agenda, and the minimum rear setback should be denied. The second story, again, should be stepped back. And in a worst case, if it's stepped back on the second story to occupy the same footprint as the proposed third story, that would be about just under a 4% loss of office space, which in addition to the 4-story recommendation we've given is only just over 20% loss of space on a considerably large building. So again, thank you for the time that the committee's taken to listen to our concerns, and we look forward to your decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Had you or your neighbors had these kinds of discussions with the applicant?
We had similar discussions, in fact, with Lux Private Equity, a prior owner of the building. I believe James Parker has had similar discussions with Stratton Townsend, who is with Woodcliff. But the exact content of the letter we just submitted. But it's been an ongoing discussion.
Okay, I'll be asking the applicant the same question then about the degree of dialogue that's been ongoing. Thank you very much. Anyone else have a question? Dylan?
Yeah, in terms of the privacy issues, would it help if there was privacy screening on the second floor balcony? Would that be something that would help address your concerns?
There would. My answer to that would be a setback in our minds would be almost the minimum required to meet sort of what we're hoping for. But 2 years ago at another committee of adjustment, that was a recommendation. That was set back, and there was still the opportunity. They ruled in favor, making a condition of approval to be privacy screens.
Right. And in terms of that top floor terrace, whether or not it's on the third floor or the fourth floor, do you have privacy concerns in terms of overlook from there?
We do have privacy concerns with that third floor terrace. Yes.
And would that also be something that privacy screens would help address?
It would help considerably. In fact, any of those rear-facing windows looking into the backyard, if there was some type of privacy screen on those, we would appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think normally we do privacy screens in terms of like terraces and balconies and such, but that would help address the issue, I think.
That would help very much. The setback, again, though, is what we would be hoping for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we will unmute the resident at 193 Niagara Street.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If we could have your name and address, please.
This is Dirk Leclerc along with Sean Dubé. We live at 193 Niagara Street. We're immediately beside the building. Our house is exactly 14 inches beside the building. And we have the same concerns that have been submitted to the committee regarding privacy issues. In fact, the side of the current building has windows in it, and those windows are low enough so they are right beside our deck and have access to see into our bedroom.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to share?
The sunlight issue as well. If we extend the building up high, it will reduce virtually all the sun that comes into our backyard until about 3 p.m. in the afternoon when the sun moves enough so that it's directly onto our backyard.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Panel, any questions of this speaker? No? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Is there Mr. Parker?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Joshua has spoken on behalf of James Parker.
Okay.
Yes? Okay. So then we can call back the agent, Benjamin Larson.
Hi, welcome back. You've heard some of the concerns from the neighboring residents. I will ask you before you do your recharge, have you had discussions with the surrounding community?
I myself have not directly had those discussions, Mr. Chair. Stratton Townley, who is a member of the Woodcliff organization, did have 1 or 2 phone calls, I believe, with some of the residents. The letter we received when it was submitted, and so we've not had an opportunity to have those discussions in the letter.
All right, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I wanted to just respond thematically to the issues that we heard, and those related to the 4-story, they related to issues of overlook and privacy, and they related to issues of shadow. The first observation I'd have with respect to shadow, as Mr. Larson already indicated, the resulting shadow from the 4-story proposal is 1 hour as it moves across those gardens in the rear. I'd note specifically with respect to Mr. Leclerc, who's at 193, he is immediately beside, but to the north, the existing as of right shadow condition would be the exact same of this proposal. So Mr. Leclerc also noted, I think quite fairly, that his existing condition is a building with windows on the lot line. That's sort of an antecedent of the way in which these neighborhoods have grown. So the new condition will actually be improved for Mr. Leclerc because the windows are all being screened on the north-facing elevation. So as it relates to overlook and privacy for him, sometimes it's difficult to see that on the architectural plans. My submission to you is he's actually in an improved condition as a result of the proposal. Respectfully, the suggestion of removing the 4th story is simply not possible. This site had a previous development application for a 3rd story. It wasn't built, and it wasn't built because it wasn't feasible. And while Mr. Beatty indicated that it's only 19% of the GFA, I'd turn that around. It's a 5th of the office GFA that's being proposed for this development, and it's integral to the feasibility of the proposal. So I always appreciate when folks come with solutions. That, unfortunately, is not a solution that we can entertain for this proposal. Similarly, I wanted to speak a little bit about the terrace conditions. I appreciated the effort that was put in by the community to provide in Appendix 6 a view diagram, but if you look at that view diagram, it actually isn't to scale, and what they've done is they've used a photo of the laneway and of their rear properties, and of course when you paste that onto an architectural plan, you don't actually get a fair representation of what the view will be looking like. We've taken a very careful look, and I appreciated the submissions and and suggestions from your fellow panel member. Our respectful submission is that a privacy planter, which could be put on the top rooftop terrace, and we've looked architecturally at what that would look like, that would, of course, pull back anyone who's standing on the edge of the terrace by that depth and would prevent direct overlook in our respectful submission from the top floor of that terrace. And we have the dimensions of that if that's of interest to the committee. And then secondly, as it relates to the second story, similarly, providing a setback to that second story would actually be a change to the existing condition. There's a second-story building there today, which is built to the lot line. So there isn't an interest in losing additional GFA from what is there today in terms of the feasibility of this proposal. We do understand that providing for some screening on that second-floor balcony may be something which is of interest to the committee, and we're happy to consider that condition. Ben, did you have anything further?
Yeah, just to reiterate, the screening on the second floor and then the screening, second floor balcony and the screening on the third floor terrace is something that we could entertain. And I do have the dimensions by vetting it with the architect about those buffer plantings if the committee would like to impose that as a condition.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I turn it over to the panel for questions, just one thing that I think we'd all appreciate understanding is the intensity of use of this facility. Is it a 9 to 5 kind of operation, or will there be activities or events in the evenings?
Yeah, so
What's your sense of what the use of this is?
That's a very fair question. This is being purposefully built by Woodcliff as their headquarters. This is an office building that is being designed for the company. There are no permissions for a nightclub use or for other retail commercial uses. That's not what's being sought for this proposal.
So it's basically day use for the most part. Some guys might want to work late the odd evening, but it's not, there's no event activity in the.
This is not an event space, and although unfortunately I find myself in my office sometimes after 5 and 6 o'clock at night, that's not. This is intended as an office building, and from the beginning, Woodcliff has come into the community to present this as their office building that they are building for themselves.
So it would just be employees.
That's correct.
Occasionally outside on the balconies and the terrace.
They might like their lawyer in every once in a while. I don't know. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Panel, any questions? Nellie?
I have a couple of questions. You mentioned the feasibility about the adding of the fourth floor, and what's the reason? Like, is it to want to accommodate all the employees if you will remove one floor?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, through you to the committee member. As I said, if I step back, when Woodcliff purchased this property, there was already a 3-story office building permitted as of right. And so Woodcliff could have simply gone through a site plan approval process, pulled a building permit, and constructed that office building. That was not a feasible proposition, given both the cost of construction, given the cost of land, and given what Woodcliff needed in order to deliver their headquarters at this site. So this building has been designed to respond to the needs of Woodcliff and its operations. And that feasibility analysis determined that the additional 20% of GFA that's achieved with that 4th story was necessary.
Okay. And second question, I understand that the use, it's a commercial use, and you have balconies or terraces on each floor. What's the main reason? Like, we understand for residential, we recommend, outdoor space. For commercial is not, the necessity.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd actually disagree respectfully with you, ma'am. On the last few office projects that I've worked on in the City of Toronto, all of them have included extensive outdoor space for employees. Coming out of COVID, in particular, employees want access to fresh air. They want to be able to open their windows. They want to be able to go outside. So I just recently finished a large project. The Well is a very good example at Spadina and Front that has extensive outdoor terracing. Right beside it is Portland Commons, which is another significant office building that I worked on that has outdoor terracing on all of the levels. Increasingly, that is what employees are seeking in terms of health and wellness. I can assure you there is no suggestion that there will be residential uses in this building, if that's what your question is about. This is to provide a green, healthy office building for Woodcliff and its employees.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Dylan?
Yeah, I want to go into the second story issue a little bit. You say that there is currently a second story, but I mean, I don't have an image of what it looks like from the lane currently, but at the moment, it's technically a one-story building. I can see that the first story is raised a little bit, but I'm assuming that your second story would actually be higher than the current second story.
Yeah, that's correct. And just to clarify that, it's almost a walkout basement at the back. The grade slopes down, so
Yeah.
it is a first story. Just to
Yeah, no, I can see that from the laneway, it will appear as 3 stories, right?
That's correct.
At the moment, it probably appears as 2 stories.
You are correct.
Okay, so I think that the residents' concerns are, I mean, they have a lot of concerns, but one of them, the most specific one, is that 3rd story appearance from the laneway, right? And what they're asking for is for that to be set back to the same level as the 3rd story, which is from their point of view, the 4th story. Do you not think that you could make that accommodation? Because, I mean, it is a laneway, and the City of Toronto policies are generally that laneways should have 2 stories facing them maximum. And that is a much smaller reduction in space than, I mean, I totally understand your 4th story, you need that makes sense. But this would be a fairly minor reduction in office space that I think could be easily accommodated with the current architectural concept. So could you not pull back the 2nd story, which is the 3rd story on the laneway, to the same point as the 3rd story, and then put the terrace there with some privacy screening? Would that not be something that would be possible?
Thank you very much, through you, Mr. Chair, for the question. Thank you. This is a tiny office building. So quite literally, every bit of GFA goes to the feasibility and the viability of the proposal. Pulling back that story is not something which would be a preference from Woodcliff. We absolutely understand and respect the need to provide some privacy screening on the balcony, which is associated with that 2nd floor, and understand that that is something which would be of interest to the community. As it relates to an issue of direct overlook, you're talking about facing conditions of over 15 meters to the rear wall of these homes. So, and you're talking about that facing condition over a public lane, through yards which have trees, and through yards which are used as parking pads. So while I appreciate the physicality of the change in the relationship, the reality is in tight urban neighborhoods like this, overlook occurs all the time. So putting privacy screening on that 2nd floor balcony is something we are absolutely willing to work with, but removing any further GFA from the building is not something that we think is viable. And I'd note that this has gone through an extensive planning process with City of Toronto staff. We are in for site plan and have gone through a detailed site plan review, and there are no conditions here from community planning with respect to this issue. And I think that goes to the very difference of the use and the fact that this is an office building, and you're not going to have people doing a direct facing overlook condition, either in terms of duration or frequency that you would have if this was a small mid-rise building. And, with respect to the laneway point, absolutely for laneway housing, that is a height issue, and it's because of that direct residential to residential facing condition. This is a through lot, not a laneway development, and is a commercial use. So I draw those distinctions for you to consider.
Okay, so another question. You talked about on the north side, the windows would be screened to kind of alleviate the overlook. Is that something that you could do on the west-facing side where you're directly overlooking?
And just to clarify, it's through the site plan, and you can see it if you go to the north elevation, the addition, the new levels on the building facing north will have a perforated metal screen, and that is to impede views facing north.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I'm wondering if something like that would be possible facing west, not just on the actual windows, obviously.
Yeah. So I think as it relates to the windows, The actual distance in the facing condition is really important here. It is over 15 meters. So that's more than what you would require in a mid-rise condition with a 5.5 and 5.5 meter separation, which would be 11 meters. So that's what's specifically contemplated by the City of Toronto in terms of residential development. This is 14 to 15 meters in terms of the rear walls of these homes. The north-facing windows that are provided are very limited. The majority of the sunlight coming into this building is going to be, as you can appreciate, from the east and the west. And so providing additional screening on those windows, respectfully, I just don't think it's necessary, and it's not something that we would want to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, before we let you go, just get some clarity on your thoughts about the screening. I think you were suggesting planter boxes along the periphery of the second floor and the rooftop. What's the current railing there? What's there now, or what are you proposing?
What is proposed now, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
What's proposed now is an OBC compliant glass railing, which would allow someone to stand at the very edge of those terraces and balconies. What we had looked at was providing a permanent planting buffer, so not plants, but a permanent raised planting box, I think you can call it that. This is something that's often used on terraces and on balconies. Our measurements suggest it would be a height of 1 meter, which would be consistent with what is required for a guardrail, and it would be a depth of 0.45 of a meter. What that does is it brings any person who is standing on, I can't go back too far, you won't be able to hear me, brings the person back that depth so that there is no ability to then look down. And that's what we had contemplated in looking at this with the project architect. What's helpful about it is that it's permanent and it's not movable. That would likely be improved by plantings, which would then occur in the planter box, which would provide for even further visual description. But I always distinguish between the plants, which need to be watered, and the actual construction, which is being installed.
Well, the railing currently is transparent.
Correct.
Could it be opaque if
It absolutely could be opaque if that was the preference for the committee.
All right, panel, everyone good? Nellie?
Just to clarify, those buffers, the planter buffers that you referred to, is it on the rooftop only, or second or third floor as well?
We had looked at that as a mitigation mechanism, which could be applied, should the committee wish, on both the third floor terrace and the second floor balcony, if that was the wish of the committee.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll take this into committee.
Many thanks.
Thank you. Okay, panel. Anyone have any comments or thoughts? Want to start us off?
Just a little clarification thing. I think that if we do the privacy screening and if we were to approve this, I think we'd want the planters on the top terrace, but I think traditional privacy screens on the second floor terrace.
But I like the idea of it actually moving people back from the edge.
I think that the second floor terrace, there's more of a straight.
Is there?
Wait, there might be more of a straight ahead
Okay.
view.
Okay.
Whereas the top floor, it's more of that overlook.
Okay.
I think.
Anyone else? Peter?
I think this is a challenging one for me. I understand that it is a very eclectic and diverse area architecturally, and there are very large buildings immediately across the road. But this block is a bit unusual in that it's relatively untouched, I think. I think the existing building, though, does cover basically the entire lot. And I think that the use, that this is actually a commercial use going into this neighborhood is a positive element of this for me. The variances are relatively big, I think, but I think that the incremental impact of what is being proposed over what is permitted as of right, I don't think that is a huge difference. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards supporting the application.
Thanks, Peter. I'll just weigh in. I would agree with you. It is a bit of an eclectic neighborhood. It is, yeah, its juxtaposition to major thoroughfares is unique. It is a little enclave of residential, but it's surrounded now by a significant number of high-rise towers, residential areas. It's got a unique kind of commercial element to it as well. Some of it's legacy and some of it's new, but it is the nature of, I think, this neighborhood that residential and commercial is coexisting to a certain extent. We don't often get input from city departments and economic development in particular asking us to support this because it does introduce and confirm commercial space that and office space which is quite needed and quite in transition these days. This is a company that wants to establish their head office there. I think that's a positive given the relationship of this site to transit and it's walkable, lots of residential around it, presumably in part for employees. So appreciate that it does change the nature of the overlook issues for some of the residents, but I think I'm leaning towards supporting as well, as long as we can put in mitigation measures. The one thing that I think is positive is that this is a facility that won't see evening use or late evening use, which is frankly a lot different from some. And so this is kind of an 8 to 6 sort of thing, and you're not going to be seeing, I think, people loitering an awful lot in the areas that will overlook some of the residential properties. So for those reasons, I think I'm leaning towards supporting it as well. Dylan?
Yeah, so, I mean, first of all, I want to point out that it's nice that city planning hasn't commented and economic development is supportive, but the Committee of Adjustment is here in particular to look at the impacts on neighbors in a way that perhaps planning doesn't always do and economic development doesn't always do. So, we have a slightly different role, and I think that that needs to be recognized. I am disappointed that they're not willing to pull back that second story. I do think that that creates a massing effect that's a little intrusive on the neighbors. On the other hand, I think overall this is a really valuable proposal for the reasons that my colleagues have stated. This is it's a pretty good building. It's interesting. It actually brings really valuable employment to this area, which is very accessible by transit, but also is very close to a lot of residential areas. One can imagine a lot of people will be able to walk, bike, or take transit to work here. And there's no parking, I believe, or there's 3 parking spaces. So, I mean, basically there's almost no parking, which I think is definitely the way we need to go. So I really sympathize with the residents. I feel that certainly their concern about that second story, which is a sort of a third story, is justified. But I think it would be extreme to, given the overall value of this and the overall appropriateness of this, I think it would be extreme to reject it just on that basis. So with a little bit of reluctance, I think I'll probably be supporting as well.
Thank you, Dylan. All right, Nellie?
Just to pick up on the theme that Mr. Dylan Reed mentioned about the disappointment. I'm too a bit disappointed that the representatives are unwilling to negotiate or to are not open to change. I understand maybe there are limits to the design, but I think in reality there's always something that can be done, and I'm concerned about the neighbors, and I understand that there is a group of neighbors and there is opposition, and their concerns are not addressed. So, that's why I don't think in this current state I would support this until they resolve the disagreement.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, I'll look for a motion. Mr. Reid.
For the reasons that I stated, I'm going to move approval of the application. And I do agree, I think, with your point, Larry, about the physical barrier being a positive thing. So maybe for simplicity, we'll just say on all west-facing balconies, or including the rooftop space, that there be a physical planter placed along the west edge.
Okay, and opaque screening?
I don't know if opaque screening is necessary if the planter's there, but if you prefer that, yeah, sure, with opaque screening as well for the actual barrier.
Meters.
I think it was 1 meter in height.
1 meter in height, 0.45 meters in depth.
Okay, great.
Okay. Are there any other conditions? Metrolinx, is that a condition, Sabrina, or is that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe it's advisory.
It's advisory?
I have it as a condition.
Can we just
Had
confirm?
advisory, so.
It's advisory.
It's advisory. Okay. So, motion to approve by Mr. Reid with the conditions with respect to screening on the third floor balcony and the rooftop terrace.
So I think we went all west facing.
Say again?
All west facing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because there's actually 3. There's one.
There's a second as well.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So all of them.
All three?
Yep.
Moved by Mr. Reid, seconded by Dylan Reid. All in favor? All opposed? All right, your application is approved. Thank you very much. So that was 4 in favor and Nellie dissent.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can go back to item number 1. We do have the agent now online.
Great. Mr. Massandrea.
Yes. Hello?
Hello.
Yes. Good morning. I apologize for earlier. I had a family emergency.
That's okay. We're circling back to you now. Just for the record, Leo, could you give us your name and address?
Leo Massandrea, 817 Cosburn Avenue.
Thank you. We've already read this into the record, so panel, you've seen the city planning condition with respect to screening?
Yes, we're okay with that.
Panel, do you need a presentation on this one? Leo, we don't need a presentation. We've read all the material. We understand the application. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we take it into committee?
No, I feel it's a pretty straightforward application, and we did speak to the neighbors.
Okay, thanks. All right, we're in committee. Anyone want to make a motion, Peter?
Thanks, Chair. I think this is a very reasonable application. It's a small project, and there's only the one variance before us, and I think the impact of that is mitigated because of how it's inset towards the center of the house. Plus, with the screening, I think this is fully supportable. So I move approval subject to the community planning condition.
All right, motion to approve by Mr. Reid, seconded by Ms., I'm going to have to look at it because it just, Atarodi West. Thank you. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. All right, we move on to item number 3. This is 59 Squires Ave. This is an application to alter the existing one-story detached dwelling by constructing a complete second-story addition with a rear covered balcony, secondary suite in the basement, also to construct a carport along the south side of the dwelling. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 5 photographs of trees on the subject property, staff report from Transportation Services, and from Community Planning and Urban Forestry.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online as well as 1 registered speaker.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
If we could have your name and address, please.
My name is Dulkifil Hassam. I live in 769 Kilali Street East, Port Colborne, Ontario.
That's great. We have someone lined up who wants to speak to this item, so we'll need a presentation no longer than 5 minutes, please.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Hello? Did we lose him? No? Hello? Are you still there?
Oh, can you hear me?
We can now. Yes, thanks. Okay, you've got 5 minutes.
So we're proposing a development to this property, a second-story development with a carport, attached carport addition. It's very straightforward. We're increasing the dwelling unit for a single family to 2 stories and a carport for the cars during the winter time. And I welcome any questions if you guys have any.
Panel, any points of clarification? Peter?
Sure, thanks, Chair. Just regarding the driveway width, there are a couple different reports from the city. Transportation wants it smaller, and community planning doesn't think that the variance number 1 should be given. So can you comment on your position on the driveway width?
I spoke to the zoning official, and we're okay with reducing the driveway.
With reducing or removing the variance?
Removing the variance, sorry.
Okay, so are you amending your application to remove variance 1 then?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Just to clarify, there's a basement apartment as well, is that correct?
Yes, there is.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
thanks.
Anything else? Okay, we're good. All right.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll unmute Nicole and Stephen Wildish.
Hi.
Good morning.
Morning.
If we could have your name and address, please.
It's Nicole Wildish, and we're at 57 Squires Avenue.
Great. You have 5 minutes, ma'am.
Oh, I certainly won't need 5 minutes, but we've spoken to the gentleman who's building, and we don't have a problem with the 2 stories. It's more with the carport. So where our house has been built before we bought it, it's almost right at the property line. And our entrance into our backyard is there, and we walk up and down the driveway to get into our backyard with our garbage cans and that sort of thing. We just want to make sure that we're still going to be able to do that both during construction and once it's completed. That was our big concern, was how much space there would be there and how that would be handled during construction and then afterwards. And then the only other piece is around the balcony at the back. I don't necessarily have a problem with that either, except I'm wondering what it will look like as far as them looking over our backyard from that 2nd story balcony.
Okay.
We're just trying to get more information. It's not so much that we have a problem with it. We're just trying to make sure that we're still going to be able to live here appropriately, right? So.
Fair enough. Have you discussed this with the applicant?
So we did have a discussion with him in the driveway one day. He happened to be by. We think it would be okay. We would prefer the smaller, I think he had 2 versions of where the carport was going to go to. They wanted to be able to have it closer to us. I think they had one other one where it was slightly further away. Obviously, we would like the one that's slightly further away, but we also know that where our house is built, that there's not much he can do about that, right? So we just want to make sure that we're still going to have access to our backyard. So I don't know how I don't know how it will work during construction and that sort of thing. That's what our concerns are about.
Okay, we'll have the applicant try to address that question. Thanks.
Okay.
Question.
Oh, Dylan, you want to have a, hang on a sec.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with your property. Do you have space on the other side of your house that's on your property that can give you access to your backyard?
We don't.
So your house actually takes up the entire lot?
Pretty much. Yep. That was built, we didn't do that.
No, I know.
Just so you know.
Yeah, no, understood. And would it help if they put privacy screening on the second floor, just on at the side on the second floor balcony? Would that help alleviate some of your concerns?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they should absolutely be allowed to have it, but I would like it so that there's something that blocks the overlook into our backyard. That would be ideal.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, if we have the agent back.
Hello?
Hi, if you want to address the concerns which we just heard?
Yes, yeah, I do. Regarding the, I'll start with the balcony first because that's much easier. I did already speak to the owner and we are okay to provide privacy screens for that balcony for the neighbors who are concerned about privacy. Regarding the carport, we require it to be wider because to allow for the 3.5 meter required car parking space. And also, if you go to the elevations, which will be page A2-4 of my drawings, yeah, that one over there. If you look at the required setback of 0.57 meter is to the pier of the carport post. The actual post itself is set back at 0.7 meter, which does give them a little bit of more room to walk around. The pier itself is going to be 6 inches, which is 150 millimeters above grade, which is required by the OBC. And then the rest of the carport will be a little bit set back in towards the property. So I hope that would be enough space for them to go around the building, given that they have at least 0.75 on their side too, which will be 1.15 at the front, 1.15 meter at the front, and 2.03 meters at the back because the property does go wider towards the back.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Panel, any questions? Nope. All right, we'll take this into committee. Who wants to start? Nazila?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with one amendment, that variance number 1, the driveway width have been eliminated, and also condition to urban forestry number 3. I know that transportation staff have also in condition, but by eliminating number 1, we don't want to put that condition. That's my motion.
And did you get the balcony screening?
No, I didn't, but I can add.
Yeah, I think they agreed to put screening on the south
Screening.
side, is it? Yeah. The south
Screening
side?
on the side, 1.1 meter height.
Great. All right, motion to approve.
That 1.5 meter height?
Normally screening is 1.5 meter.
That's right.
Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Sorry, I
Yes.
didn't hear.
Motion to approve with those conditions, the amended application. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Reed, Dylan Reed. All in favor? You have your approval with those conditions. Thank you. Okay, we move on to item number 4, which is 13 Indian Trail. This is an application to construct a new one-story ancillary a detached garage in the rear yard abutting the laneway. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of trees on the subject property, covering letters from the applicants received March 26, 2024. Materials related to an application to permit for a permit to construct or demolish the affected property, permit to injure or destroy trees affecting the subject property, and correspondence and concern from 28 Radford. Good morning. If we could have your name and address, please.
Yeah, Graham Rogers.
Do you want to turn your mic on? Yeah. Is it red?
It was on before. There
you go.
Graham Rogers, Ainsley Kennedy of 13 Indian Trail.
Okay. Do we have anyone registered?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have someone online in interest. We may want to just unmute them and see.
What their issues is?
Yeah.
Sure. Hang on a second. Do we have them?
Am I unmuted?
Hi. Can you just speak up a little bit and tell us your name and address?
Yes, my name is Ezio Molinari. I live at 28 Radford Avenue. My house backs onto the laneway.
And you have some concerns?
Yeah, my sole concern, it
Okay,
arises
hold on.
from
I'm just gonna hold you off there, and we'll get to your concerns in a moment. If we could go back to the applicant and maybe just a very brief overview of what you're proposing, please.
Yeah, so what we're proposing and what we're asking for is, well, basically, we want to reconstruct a garage that is already there. We want to build a garage that is of the same height and same area, but that the existing garage is bigger than the 10% of the lot coverage that is allowed. So that's the variance that we're asking for.
Okay.
So we're hoping that it doesn't really disrupt the laneway or the community, because the building that is there currently and has been there since the 1960s, the new building will be of the same footprint.
Roughly the same size?
Roughly the same size, roughly the same height.
Okay. Panel, any questions? Okay, let's get back to the speaker then.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, you've got an opportunity to share with the panel your concerns.
Okay. To be clear right off the top, I have no problem with the actual physical construction of the garage. For me, my concern, moreover, is with regards to access to the public laneway during the demolition and construction of this garage. I bring this up because there is a construction going on at 11 Radford Avenue currently. They're right next to the laneway, and I see how their trucks park into the lane and they block off parking spots and leave their materials on the street. I just want to know that there's some kind of a provision so that access won't be impaired and it'll be clear through access at all times during construction. That's all.
Okay, thanks very much. Just for the record, that's kind of beyond the purview of this committee, but we will ask the applicant to address that for you. Over to you guys.
We were operating under the assumption that we would not be able to block a public way, so we weren't going to work in that capacity. So all materials, all trucks, all dumpsters, whatever we need will be contained to our property.
Great. You'll make sure that the contractor knows that, right?
It's also been ordered, the garage that we're looking to build is a prefabricated build, so
Okay.
it's not a long process.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Thanks very much. All right, we'll take this into committee, panel. Ms. Volpert?
Just in my opinion, pretty straightforward. And can you hear me? Yes, and it's a good thing. Like looking from from the pictures of the garage existing there, that's a good thing. Yeah. So I would bring a motion to approve it, no conditions.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Reed.
I want to second with also how pleased I was to see that actually already taken care of the forestry issues before they even came to us.
I noticed
Thank you
that
for
too.
that. That makes life much easier for us. So I second that.
Good point. All right, motion by Ms. Volport to approve, seconded by Dylan Reed. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Okay, item number 5. 336 Rushton Road. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 2-story addition, a new rear ground floor covered deck, also to construct a new detached shed in the rear yard. In addition, there will be a ground-mounted air conditioner in the front yard, as well as a front yard parking pad. The existing detached shed, rear ground level deck, will be demolished. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans and elevations, an arborist report, presentation materials from the agent. We have email correspondence from Transportation Services. We have a total of 15 form letters in support from residents on Rushton Road, Arlington Avenue, Wellwood Avenue, more from Rushton Road and Wellwood Avenue. We have correspondence in opposition from 334 Ruston.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online. We did have one registered speaker who resides at 406 Rushton Road. However, we've made multiple attempts and cannot reach them.
Great, thanks very much. All right. Do we have Mr. Dome?
Yes, my name is Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owner.
Thank you. Panel, would you like a short presentation? No one? No? Okay. Yes. Mr. Dome, we don't need a full presentation. The panel's read all the information. We do have a question, though.
Just to clarify a couple of things. So first of all, the parking space is still going to be on private property. Is that correct?
That is correct. Okay. Entirely on private property.
Right. Okay. Excellent. And in terms of the side yard setbacks, the side yard setback on the south side is still going to be within the zoning requirement, right? 1.2 meters. It's just the north side, and that's just a continuation of the existing building. Is that correct?
That is correct. I should highlight, though, that the proposed two-story addition at the rear is entirely as of right, and the side yard setback does apply to the rear deck only. And we clarified with Sabrina regarding the wording that it would still apply because it is attached.
Right. Okay. But the south side is 1.2 meters, even with the addition.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, the south side complies.
Okay. Great. Thanks so much.
Great. Anyone else? We're good? Okay, let's take it into committee. Dylan?
Yeah, I asked those questions just to address the issues that the person who wrote in was concerned about, and I think that they are addressed perfectly well. And otherwise, this is very straightforward. The air conditioner is going to be closer to the front, but it's not closer to the side where it might actually affect the neighbor. Otherwise, the parking spot is on private property, so that's why transportation's okay with it. It's not actually a parking pad in the sense that it's on public property. So really, I don't think there's any serious concerns, and it's really effectively minor. So I move that we approve these variances.
Okay, motion to approve by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. West. I'm sorry. I'm going to blow it every time. Thank you. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Okay, we move on to item number 6. 397 Woodfield Road. This is an application to legalize and maintain front porch and stairs that were constructed without an authorized building permit, and also to alter the existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by reconstructing a rear ground level deck and stairs. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. A revised site plan received April 16th, 3 photographs of trees on the property in order to comply with affecting the subject property. Revised site plans, floor plans, and elevations received May 2nd, 2024. Staff report from Community Planning and an advisory report from Metrolinx.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online. We also had one registered speaker who resides at 395 Woodfield Road. However, we've made multiple attempts and cannot reach them.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sam Wong. I'm residing in the city of Mississauga. I'm the agent for this particular project. The resubmission of site plan in May 2nd essentially reduced the staircase by 50%. I believe it addressed most of the landscape requirement for the front yard, and also for the required height of the staircase. We are about 1 inch higher than the 1.2 meter. I think that it will be quite a minor requirement. The lastly is once we reduce the width of the stair by 50%, we shouldn't have too much problem with the landscape percentage.
So are you making any changes to the variances with respect to front yard landscaping?
Yes. Let me see what Okay, can I open it?
This is variance number 4 and variance number 5.
Okay. Variant number 4, the required is 13.81 meters square. The latest submission, we have it at 10.85 meters square. That represents 75% of the requirement. And then on the number 5, we essentially meet the requirement.
So you're eliminating variance number 5, and could you just restate variance number 4 for us?
The number 4, we have provided landscape area of 10.85 meters square.
So so just to be clear, do I have this right? It currently reads 13.74.
No, it doesn't. The revised drawing will provide 10.85 meters square.
So that's making it worse?
No,
Sabrina, is that right?
Through you, Mr. Chair, is he speaking about variance number 5?
I asked him specifically about variance number 4.
So variance number 4, a minimum of 13.81 square meters is required, and they're proposing 13.74 square meters.
But he said he's amending.
Agent, are you amending that?
We are providing 10. Let me see.
Item number 5.
No, 4.
No, I know, but item number 5, minimum 75% at 10.35 square meters. What are you proposing?
Yes. Number 5, we are proposing 10.85 meters square.
Which means then he will not require that variance, so you're removing variance number 5.
Correct.
And number 4 remains?
Yes, we are providing 10.85 meters square.
It keeps coming back to 10 point. So we're struggling a little bit because variance 4 is slightly different than variance 5. We understand you're providing 10.8 for number 5, so you don't need variance number 5. Variance 4 is different. Do you see it? It says a minimum of 13.81 meters squared of the front yard, excluding a permitted driveway, is required to be landscaping. In this case, 13.74 meters square of the front yard will be maintained as landscaping.
So through you, Mr. Chair, it's the difference between what is being proposed as landscaping area in the front yard versus that amount in soft landscaping. So it appears that soft landscaping will be 10.85 square meters, which means that they can remove variance number 5 because they can comply. And we just need to confirm that variance number 4 remains as 13.74 square meters.
Yeah, that's correct, because I make a mistake. The 10.75 is soft landing, including the paved area, the landing, the total landscape area will meet the 13.74 meters square. So even that minor variant item 4 does not apply.
Okay.
So we can delete item 4 as well?
No, he still needs that.
We still need that, okay.
So let's go back to number 1. You had mentioned that you were narrowing your stairs.
That's correct.
Okay, so what should number 1 read?
The number 1 is 2.6 meter wide.
Sorry, excuse me,
6 meter.
2.6 meters. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Does it affect variance number 2 as well?
Is there any other changes that you require? Like you do, the number 2 is with respect to the setback to the...
Number 2 will no longer apply because once we reduce the stair width, the stair will be...
Okay, so you are amending variance number 1. You are eliminating variance number 2. Variance number 3 is unchanged. Variance number 4 is unchanged, and you are eliminating variance number 5. Is that all correct?
Even number 4 is, oh yeah, that's correct, that's correct.
Okay, I think we've got it. All right. Panel, any questions?
Sorry if I was confused.
No worries. We just want to make sure that we get it right so you don't have difficulties down the road. Any further questions, panel? No? Okay, we'll take this into committee. Dylan?
Yeah, so I'm very pleased that the applicant has revised his plans because the original plans were really out of line, but I think the new ones really are very minor, and I'm glad that the applicant's going to be narrowing the stairs and providing much more significant soft landscaping. So given those revised plans, I want to move approval of this these variances as amended, with the planning condition, which is that it be built according to the revised plans.
Revised site plan, yep.
Right site plan.
Okay, motion moved by Mr. Reed. Do I have a seconder? Ms. Volport, all in favor? You have your approval of the amended application. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, does anyone need a short break, or are you okay? Okay, let's take a, Sabrina, 10-minute? 10-minute break, please. Ready, guys? Okay. Okay, we move on to item number 7, 62 Austin Terrace. This is an application to alter the existing 3-story detached dwelling by constructing a 3-story addition above the attached 1-story garage with front balconies on each level. Also to construct a partial 4th-story addition with a rooftop deck and pergola. Above the existing 3-story dwelling, there will be a total of 4 residential dwelling units on this lot, and currently there are 3 residential dwelling units. Committee has before it a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. A revised site plan received March 26, 2024. 4 photographs of trees on the subject property. Decision numbers A0100/21TUI and A1372/22TUI affecting the subject property. Email correspondence between the agent and the application technician. We have staff reports from Urban Forestry and from Toronto Lands Corporation, representing the Toronto District School Board.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online as well as 1 registered speaker in interest.
Okay, thank you. All right.
At this time, we'll unmute the agent.
Good morning, Mr. Manicum.
Good morning.
We could have your name and address, please.
My name is Scott Metro. I'm trying to turn my video on here. Start video. It's not working. My name is Scott Manicom, address 62 Austin Terrace.
Great, thank you. We have someone waiting to speak on this item, so we'll need a short presentation, please.
Sure. Previously, the committee approved an application, this was back in March 29th, 2023, to construct the 3-story addition on top of the existing detached garage. And the space between the main building and the detached garage is the internal stairwell to access this new unit. And there was a small outdoor area patio on top of the existing building. That was approved at the last Committee of Adjustments last year. So what we are looking for in this proposal is an additional 23 square meters of interior space. And the thought there was to make this proposed unit into a single-family dwelling with an interior work area for the stay-at-home person, which seems to be where everything is headed these days. So that's the reason for the new application today, for that extra 23 square meters of interior space.
Okay, have you seen the report submitted from Toronto Lands Corp? It's asking for a construction management plan.
Oh, I have not seen that, no.
Can we I know we got a speaker, but can we just pull that up on the screen? Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. Thank you. Yeah, no, I was not made aware of this. Was that?
It's dated May 6th, but it was posted on the AIC.
Okay. So I need to prepare a construction management plan?
I guess because you back onto a school property, and I think there's concern about, potential impact on students and such.
Sure. No, that's no problem. Yeah, there was something that was not asked for during the last proposal and approval. So, and this was not sent to me, so I guess that's why I've never seen it.
Okay. Panel, any questions, Dylan?
Yeah, just so I understand fully, is what we're talking about today, is it because of this home office that's going to be part of the apartment on the garage, but is actually going to be built on top of the existing building? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to understand exactly what we were talking about. Thanks a lot.
Okay, we have the speaker.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll unmute the resident at 56 Austin Terrace.
Good morning.
I think they think I'm a speaker. I'm just an observer.
Oh, Mr. Goswich?
Yes, hi. I'm just here as an observer.
Okay.
I'm not actually armed with questions. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. All right, panel, any questions of the agent? No? Okay, we'll take this into committee. Mr. Reed?
Thanks, Chair. I've personally heard this this application, or this property's applications 2 times, so I think we'll make it around 3. I think what's being proposed this time, compared to the last approval, is very small. It's just an addition on the main building. And this is a really efficient use of a site that has a lot of protection from its neighbors. So I think it's a commendable application. So I move approval subject to urban forestry condition 1 and 2, and to the Toronto Lands Corp construction management condition.
Great, okay, we have a motion to approve with those conditions by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Adirodi West. Oh, just West, okay, thank you. All in favor? You have your approval, sir, thank you. Okay, we move on to item number 8, 169 Wright Ave. This is an application to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear 2-story addition with a rear 2nd-story balcony, rear basement extension, and with a rear walkout and a rear ground floor deck. The committee has before a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 3 photographs of trees on the subject property, a cover letter from the agent, correspondence in support from 164 Fern, correspondence in opposition from 167 Wright. Do we have the
Through you,
agent?
Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online. We also have one registered speaker that resides at 171 Wright Avenue. We have made multiple attempts and just can't reach this person.
All right, Mr. Cheatley,
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, members of the committee.
we have your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Daniel Cheatley. I am located at 1087 Queen Street West, Suite 403 in Toronto, and I am the agent of the owner.
Okay, thank you very much. Just hang on a sec. Panel, do you need a presentation on this one? So only FSI.
Just a question.
Question by Mr. Reed. Go ahead.
I know it's not part of the thing, but the neighbor wrote a letter being concerned about privacy in terms of the second floor porch. Would you be okay with privacy screening on either side?
Yes, we would definitely be okay with that. We also, as noted in the cover letter, have a setback on the balcony to ensure that it is mostly out of view and will not overlook the backyard.
Okay,
but
great.
certainly we can add privacy screening if necessary.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go into committee. Mr. Reed, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Overall, this is very minor. I think it's just FSI, so it's really a very minor thing. But because of the neighbor's concern, I think we should add a requirement for privacy screening on the east and west sides of the second floor balcony.
And there's forestry.
And there's forestry condition number 2. Yeah.
Okay, motion to approve by Dylan Reed, approved by Peter Reed. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much. Move on to item number 9. 122 Bellwoods Ave.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, we're still trying to connect with the agent on item number 9.
Oh, all right.
Perhaps we can move to item 10 and then come back to number
Sure.
9.
Let's move to item 10, which is 33 Beechwood Drive. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached garage with 1 laneway suite in the rear yard abutting the laneway. Committee has before. Okay. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 10 photographs of trees on the subject property, an arborist report. We have staff reports from Metrolinx, and we have a staff report from community planning. We have 3 letters in support from owners occupants of 31 Beechwood Drive, 42 Hopedale, and 40 Hopedale.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online. No registered speakers for this item.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll unmute Joe Gerber.
Good morning.
Morning.
If you could give us your name and address, please.
Yes, of course. It's Joel Gerber of 23 Doncaster Avenue in East York.
Thank you. Panel, anyone need a presentation? Mr. Reid?
Planning has submitted a recommendation for refusal, so I think we should probably get a presentation.
Oh, you're right. Thank you very much. Yes, we'll need, so you've seen the planning staff recommendation to refuse this application?
Yes, we had spoken a number of times and tried to resolve the matter, so I'm happy to give a brief presentation to describe the scope of work.
Okay. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members, for your time and consideration. Originally, our firm was commissioned to design a 2-story addition to the family home, and we had learned that there was a work order to comply on the property with a dilapidated existing garage structure. So we had already gone through the process of defining the long-term stable top of slope and working with the TRCA and urban forestry and our friends at the Ravine. And it was decided by the client family to try and, in the reconstruction of the garage, build a laneway residential unit atop. So despite kind of having building permits in place for the addition, we were pursuing the minor variances as I'm about to describe. The first 2 items of 5 relate to the side yard and the rear yard setback. Because we're essentially recreating the existing footprint of the garage or strengthening the garage and building a top, those were kind of the restrictions of our rear yard and side yard setback. And then items 3, 4, and 5 relate to the adjacency of the laneway and garage to the principal residence. It is a bit of a unique property in that it has a very large front yard, some of which is ravine and some of which is just beautifully landscaped. And the rear yard tends to be quite small. In very diligently trying to work with community planning, we had looked at possibly stepping the 2nd floor back, as well as potentially shrinking the width of the garage, making a little bit tight. But we had tried to work with them. And I guess what we concluded was that their biggest concern was, the equitable access to outdoor space, which is very reasonable. And that's why, aside from privacy, we try to preserve that offset between the main house and the laneway house. So our consideration with the client was that to avoid creating other variances, we felt that the front yard landscaped area and the side yard and rear yard might suffice. And that's unfortunately why in the week before the committee, we couldn't get on the same side as community planning. The one thing that I did want to emphasize that maybe I think got missed in both my previous review as well as community planners was that when we designed the original structure, we had sculpted it in such a way that the 2nd floor floated out over the ground floor. And the original intent of this prior to the laneway was actually to preserve as much gardens and landscape as possible. So I think if you consider that extra 1.5 meters of cantilever, there's a significantly more amount of green space that I would argue is contributing to the equitable access to the outdoors. So that was really the only rebuttal that I had. We did take the time to review the previous 46 Hopedale Committee of Adjustment, where a lot of the adjacent neighbors were, sharing conversation about other laneway houses that were proposed and approved in the past. So I'd welcome any other questions at this time, and I appreciate the audience.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions? We don't have anyone registered to speak on this one? No questions? Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll take this into committee. Dylan?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so at a recent one, I was at the property just to the east. They have just got approval to put a garage basically right beside the proposed laneway suite. So I was particularly interested in seeing this proposal. I think the first thing is that this is the kind of unusual lot that I think the Committee of Adjustment is specifically created to address, right? Like, it's a strange lot, it's unusual, it has very specific things. This is the kind of reasons why variances might be needed. And when you look at the details of this, I mean, on the east side, it's going to be facing a garage. And I know there's trees there, and then there's a deep lot. So I really don't see the impact on the east, and the person to the east has not objected. On the north side, this is going to be facing a blank wall. So again, I don't think that the lack of offset of a side yard setback is really significant. And then in terms of landscaping, as the agent pointed out, the main house has a very large front yard, and that's really where their front yard is. And laneway suites normally don't have any landscaping. Usually they face a laneway and have like at most a meter space in front. So I would also, 3 of the neighbors that might be overlooked by this have actually written in support. And it's on a circular turnaround space that's quite distant from the neighbors in any case. So to me, this is an unusual case, and it's worthy of variances. And I think the agent has made the good point that, you know, the closeness of the laneway house to the main house isn't really relevant because the green space for the main house is actually in front. So to me, I don't actually understand why planning is proposing refusal. I think that this is exceptional. There's a lot of exceptional circumstances, and we are creating, you know, a new rental unit in a desirable area that is quite close to transit. So to me, this is actually a good proposal. It's been well thought out. They've obviously tried to do what they could with planning. And I think that we should support this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the specific context of this makes it supportable. I usually don't, when the proximity between the laneway suite and the main house is this small, I think usually it doesn't work. But as you've stated, there are exceptional characteristics to this lot, and I think it works.
Okay, anyone else? Nellie?
With regards to variance number 5, I understand it's a unique lot, and the position of the garage is kind of, you know, restricted by the topography, but you know, there is this. What I'm concerned about is the, you know, angular plane penetration, because it's a kind of a boxy structure, and maybe it could be somehow adjusted to make it less imposing. That's my concern. So I would recommend maybe to, you know, for the applicant to work it out with the planning, maybe for a better outcome.
Zilla?
Yes. Yes, to you, Mr. Chair. This is a very special site, the irregular lot, maybe, and then the lane, at the end of the lane, I think having this structure is not pleasant to me, and I agree with city staff report, because the site is designated as a neighborhood in the official plan, and also any changes should be gradual and it should be fit with the characteristic of the neighborhood. And I agree with the staff that the purpose of the zoning bylaw is to respect and reinforce a stable built form and to limit the impact of new development on adjacent property. So I agree with city staff that it's not a good development.
Okay, thank you very much. All good points. My only observation is sometimes city staff doesn't always take fully into consideration the context of the site. I recall this one too, Dylan, the drive or the garage right adjacent to it, and it was a fulsome discussion. There were issues that we had to resolve. I don't see this one necessarily as having any negative impact. The house adjacent to it has a almost 3-story blank wall. There's no impact to that house. The garage on one side, and this is a dead-end laneway suite. So I thought the point from the agent, Dylan, you reinforced it, was that the amenity space for the principal dwelling is going to be in the front or the side. There isn't really I don't think there's any conflict between the space in the rear being used by the tenants of the laneway suite. I frankly think this is consistent with the city's overall objectives to introduce more rental accommodation to the existing established neighborhood. So I think it's supportable, notwithstanding planning's recommendation to the contrary. Okay, I'll need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve these variances for the reasons I mentioned earlier.
Okay, do I need a seconder? Mr. Reed?
Oh, and with ravine
RFP?
condition, ravine forestry ravine condition number one.
Okay, seconded by the other Mr. Reed.
Oh, sorry, and one other thing. I also want to correct an error in variance number 5. The wording of variance number 5 is in error. I'd like to remove the, where it says the laneway suite may not penetrate, I'd like to change that to laneway suite may penetrate.
Oh, right, because it's double negative.
It's double negative, yeah.
Okay.
So with those conditions.
All right, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? 3 people in favor. Those opposed? 2 opposed. The application is approved. Thank you. With those conditions. The amended application.
The amended applications.
3, Mr. Chair, we can go back to item number 9 because we have the agent.
Okay. Number 9 is 122 BELLWOODS Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a 1-story rear ground level addition with an enlarged rear second-floor rooftop balcony and a rear ground level deck with stairs. The existing rear deck and stairs will be demolished. The committee has before it copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 10 photographs of the subject property, decision number A0718/10TEY affecting the subject property, a tree protection plan, and a staff report from community planning. Okay.
3, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Arash Bahamin at 4789 Young Street, representing the owner at 122 BELLWOODS.
Okay, hang on a sec. Panel presentation. Sir, we don't need a presentation this morning. We've read all the material. We understand the application. Is there anything you'd like to share with the committee before we take it in for a decision?
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Not really, other than the 2 minor variances, which is already noted there. So, yeah, nothing
And
further.
you've seen the planning report about screening? Hello?
Sorry, can you say it again?
Community planning has issued a report asking for privacy screening on your second floor balcony. Have you seen that report?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Just one question.
Oh, we have a question. Hang on a sec.
Sorry, thanks. And just in regard to that, the planning report, it's requesting 1.8 meters in height for this screening. Usually we do 1.5 meters. Is there a reason that you know of that it's 1.8 instead?
I haven't heard anything from the community planning with respect to this condition. So it is just something that we saw on the report. So yeah, basically, no, we have no idea of the reason.
Okay, thanks.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if the committee is to approve the application with this condition, you may want to impose minimum 1.5 to a maximum of 1.8.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're in committee. Anyone want to comments or move a motion? Peter?
Thanks, Chair. I'll move a motion. This is a very small addition. I think the variances required for it are minor in effect and impact. I'm not certain if that community planning condition was done intentionally or not, so I think the staff's suggestion to say to a minimum of 1.5 meters and to a maximum of 1.8 meters makes sense, because I think adding unnecessary height I think just creates additional barriers. So I move approval subject to that condition as amended.
Okay, motion to approve by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. West. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. All right, we did number 10. We move to number 11, which is 321 Jane Street. This is an application to alter the existing two-story mixed-use building by constructing a two-story rear addition, a front second-story walkout balcony, a complete third-story addition with a front balcony, a four-story addition containing a mechanical penthouse with front and rear walkout balconies. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, one photograph of trees on the subject property. Presentation materials from the architect received May 1st, 2024. Revised presentation materials from the agent received May 2nd. We have a staff report from community planning. We have correspondence and opposition from 427, 460, 466, 476 Armadale, 317 Jane Street. We have further correspondence and opposition from 468, 461 and 470 Armadale.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent and architect here in person. We also have one registered speaker in opposition here in person and one registered speaker in opposition online.
Great, thank you. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Name and address, please.
Greg Ewens from Batory Planning and Management, 1550 Kingston Road, Suite 4. I'm here with Andrew.
Andrew Batey-Sharba. I'm the architect at 264 Jane Street.
Great, thank you. We'll need a presentation, please.
Certainly, sir. Thank you. So we are here today requesting 6 variances to permit an addition to an existing building at 321 Jane Street to construct a 3-story mixed-use building with ground floor commercial space, 1 parking space, access from the rear, and a 2-bedroom apartment above. Property is in a mixed-use areas designation in the official plan. It's on a major street in the official plan. It's zone CR, commercial residential. It has a maximum height of 14 meters in the bylaw. The variances requested today are primarily driven from the buildings retaining a large part of the existing building and being an addition or construction that tries to utilize as much of the existing structure as possible. There are several such examples of this type of infill. You can actually see on the map that's on the screen right now. On this, it's, in my view, a preferable approach to Main Street construction as it reduces construction waste. It shortens the time and impacts related to construction, and it helps tie the new building into the existing streetscape. Variance 1 concerns the location of residential and non-residential space being located on the same floor. If staff would flip to page 19, please, you can see the ground floor. The area in question is a residential access next to the internal parking space there. You can see in the middle of the floor plan. It's not really a living space. It's an access. There's an elevator there, and there's a bit of storage. This is quite common with this type of design to get to the upper floor to the apartments. The variances 2, 3, and 4 all concern the ground floor level and the ground floor height. And this reflects the existing condition. As I said, the proposal adapts the existing building with additional construction. There's no opportunity to change the level of the ground, as this is an addition to the building, not a rebuild. Page 24 shows the ground level. You can see the grade there. That's the ground level of the existing structure, and the addition shown on top. Variance for the required 4.5 meter ground floor height would be incongruous with the character of the street. It's primarily intended for new builds, often with consolidation. This is not the kind of not this kind of infill. Page 12 shows what I'm talking about, how the front facade of the building is really in line with what you see on Jane Street. And then variance 5 concerns windows on the side of the site. If you go to page 25, you can see there's 2 existing windows and 1 proposed small window over on the right side of the screen there. The new window faces the siding of the adjacent building, which is roughly a meter away, and it's really just intended for ambient light. There's no overlook issues there. It looks directly into another building a meter away. Variance 6, the last variance concerns the angular plane. And if you go to page 9 of the presentation, please, you see a minor encroachment, which is illustrated there. Yep, you can see in the pink there. On page 4, you'll see the as-of-right building envelope. And on page 5, yeah, there you go. And on page 5, you will see that envelope as a solid volume alongside the proposed encroachment. And you can see the building immediately next door has a covered deck, which has a very similar encroachment. It's a very minor encroachment. The proposed encroachment is part of the second bedroom, and there's a single window facing east on the facade, which encroaches above the angular plane. The city is currently proposing to remove angular plane requirements in these situations. I'd take you to page 6, which shows the city's current recommended mid-rise guidelines, which will apply to this site. The guidelines intend that a 6-story building be constructed on sites like this with no angular plane and a 7.5 meter setback to the opposite side of the lane. We are well set back from what's being requested there. Regarding overlook and privacy, the single bedroom window, which faces the east, will not create a considerable privacy issue. The separation distance between the rear of the proposed building and the rear of the houses on Armadale, specifically 466 Armadale, is nearly 25 meters. That's the separation distance the city requires between towers, and it's more than adequate to limit privacy to the east. We tried to step the building back to respond to concerns, unfortunately, because of where the stairwell is located, because we can't, we have to have the stairwell in the new part of the building and the elevator. It would remove the second bedroom effectively. There'd be nowhere for it with where the stairs have to be located. The owner and the property owner and the architect have talked to the adjacent owners. The architect hosted the immediate neighbors at 466 Armadale at their office to discuss the plans before they were submitted. We've worked with city staff who have no objections. They have 2 requested conditions, and we have no objection to those conditions. The tenants in the building have been kept well up to date on the process. In conclusion, the requested variance is driven primarily by the retention of the existing building. It's located in a mixed-use area on a major street. It picks up the character and proportions of other streets on the blocks. It's contained almost entirely within the as-of-right envelope, and it's well within the envelope of the new mid-rise guidelines. In my view, it meets the 4 tests and constitutes good planning. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Panel, any questions? Yes. Yep. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, at this time, we'll ask the resident at 470 Armadale Avenue to come up to the podium.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity.
If we could just have your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Mario Mandarino. I'm at 470 Armadale Avenue.
Great. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My main concern about the structure is both from a visual perspective, creating an imposing structure of 3+ floors straight up is one of the concerns that I have. Right now, there isn't anything to that extent built on the properties abutting our property. Yes, the existing 317 has a roof on their patio area on the 3rd floor, but it's still an open space. And so that is one of the concerns. The second concern I have is about encroaching on the laneway more and more. It becoming harder for the traffic to move on the lane, to park, to make use of the space to our extent. This encroaches onto that space a little bit more. So my two concerns are the visual aspect, the privacy aspect of just enclosing the area that we're in, and the closer and closer to the laneway that the building requires further than other properties in that area.
Thank you, sir. Panel, any questions? So you're in behind, but down a couple from where this is being proposed. Is there trees or anything in there, or you've got a garage on your laneway, I presume?
Yes, I have a garage on my laneway, on my property, and there's a tree north of me, but there are no trees between us and the property in question, the 321.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Thank you very much for coming in. Anyone else?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll unmute the resident at 466 Armadale Avenue.
Yes, hi, thank you, good morning. My name is Kalila Fazio, and I live at 466 Armadale Avenue. Should I proceed now, or?
Yes, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, excellent. I won't need that much, I don't expect. I'd like to thank the committee for allowing me to speak on behalf of myself, as well as some of my fellow neighbors. While we can appreciate that the owners of 321 Jane are proposing to build a mixed commercial residential property, our primary issue is with variance number 6, and that they are penetrating that rear 45-degree angular plane. This has direct impact on the properties located on Armadale Avenue that back onto the proposed building. With regard to the rear proposed structure, the current proposal will maintain a 3+ story flat facade, and without maintaining that 45-degree angular plane or setback. Their building's 3rd story, as well as that rooftop deck, have direct sightlines into our backyards, as well as my rear-facing bedrooms. I had attached some pictures with the letter I submitted last week for your reference, just so that you can see a bit of that scale and scope of what I'm going to be up against. This doesn't feel like a minor encroachment to me at all, especially with the use of that 4th floor rooftop patio. It's going to be towering right over myself, as well as our backyard. Oh, thank you, that's my backyard. I would also like to highlight that the residential use of this property is for a single-family occupancy, and that the enjoyment of their home should not impede those of their neighbors. We are requesting that the variance be denied and that the owners respect and build within the city guidelines and limits. Thank you for your consideration, committee.
Thank you. Panel, any questions? Thank you very much. Do we have any more speakers? That's it. Okay, Mr. Yuns.
Hello again, Mr. Chair.
Hi.
Okay, so we, regarding the width of the lane, I guess I'll start there, the setback from the lane. The building is proposed does not require a setback variance from the lane. We're exceeding the minimum setbacks required in the bylaw. Further along the lane, there are other buildings which actually encroach further toward the lane. So it's a condition that's roughly consistent with what is existing to the south. I think there's a bit of a 2-foot difference there. Both of those buildings, are the proposed one and the existing, exceed the setback requirements from the lane. The garage is located internal to the building as well, so to help kind of mitigate any issues with vehicles parking there. Yeah, it's in that part of the building there. Regarding the angular plane, I think it's page 5 of the submission Yeah, that's the one there. I think illustrates that the encroachment is generally very minor. This is a common condition relationship between Main Street buildings. Many Main Street buildings on the city main streets are 2, 3, 4 stories. They abut laneways that abut low-rise residential areas to the east. In this case, we have tried to diminish that encroachment as much as possible while still allowing for a viable second bedroom and still trying to retain as much of the existing building as possible, accounting for the fact that the elevator and stair core have to be built sort of behind the existing ground floor, so we don't have to demolish a significant part of that building. So that's really what drives this. As the previous speaker stated, it's a family who's living in the building and operating the commercial space on the ground floor. And I think the other thing I mentioned, we're looking at where the city is headed with rear angular planes, the new mid-rise guidelines, which are being proposed, and they were in front of the planning committee a couple of months ago, and they'll be back very soon. That's the direction the city's heading. Finally, to mitigate privacy issues to the east, we haven't put a balcony on the 3rd floor. We've kept a small bedroom window there, and at the top floor, where that is accessible, there is a large planting buffer area to the east to prevent people from being near the edge of the building at the east side. So we tried to manage that as best as possible. Thank you. Andrew, I don't know if you have anything further to add, but thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Hold it. Start with Mr. Reed.
Would you be okay if we, so you said that your idea for the exterior patio facing east is to have planters to keep people to prevent overlook. Would you be okay if we include that as a condition?
Yeah, no objections.
Yep. Could you just specify what the conditions would be so we can include that in the condition?
So the planters are railing height 42 inches.
So can you provide that in meters?
42 inches.
I don't know if 42 inches.
Sorry, it's just like that's usually
1.1 meters, I think. Is it 1.1 or 1.5?
So 1.1 meters high, and how deep would they be?
I believe they're 1.5 feet.
So
Again,
0.45?
can we translate to?
Oh, 0.45.
0.45?
I can get my...
Okay, so that's fine.
That's right, yeah.
That's fine. So 0.45 and 1.1 meters high.
Yes, we've absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Nellie?
Okay, I have a question with regards to variance number 3. So is there no way to provide ramp access to the?
I think the length of the ramp plus where it would be located, we have to demolish the whole front of the building to accommodate for that.
No, it's not wide enough?
No, the site isn't wide enough, and there's not enough space in front of the existing facade to accommodate the ramp. We'd have to take out that entire facade and restructure it.
I think it might be page 19 that shows the facade in context. Let me just confirm that page. But I agree. I mean, it's a kind of a common Main Street condition in the city where you have a step up, and there's removable ramps that some businesses install, and those are options as well. But we're
Always put one of those temporary ones in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Okay, no, I'm familiar with Jane Street, and it's pretty narrow, the sidewalk, so yeah, there's not much. And with regards to variance number 6, and I appreciate that, the angular plane is maybe a bit of the minor issue, or maybe, but still it's there to protect the neighbors, from what I can see, okay, my question is there a way for you, do you see the way and I'm mentioning I'm referring to the 3rd floor, the, east, or basically, the rear of the house. Is there a way for you to mitigate that so you can meet variance, or you can meet variance number 6 with regards to angular plane? Do you see?
We have attempted to look at that. Unfortunately, it results in the removal of the second bedroom. There's not enough space there between the stairwell and the elevator to provide the space for that bedroom, even with a dormer. We feel that having the one window there that only exists for part of that wall, and it's not a very large window to allow light into the bedroom, is tries to mitigate that privacy impact to the greatest degree possible. And really, from a privacy perspective, I think is preferable to the condition immediately to the south, which is a full deck, which is open on all three sides at that story. So we tried to account for that as well, and considering neighbors' privacy concerns.
Okay, so you looked at the dormer, option, and it doesn't work?
Yes. We've tried to mitigate this as much as possible. That part of setting the building back was to attempt to do that from what the otherwise required setback at the ground level would be. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take it into committee. Anyone want to start us off? Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to express my concern, and I understand that there are many limits, and with regards to the site and the sidewalks and the location. And still, I'm a bit concerned about the variance number 6 and about massing of the house. At the back, if you will, looking at the east facade, and I understand there is, it's difficult from the design point of view to reduce, to meet the variance, but I'm having concerns about that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Peter?
Thanks, Chair. I think this is a really good project, and the only variance that I had a real concern with was the 45-degree plane in the back, but I think these materials provided by the architect, showing the as of right buildable volume with the protrusion of that are extremely helpful. And just this whole application package is very good. I wanted to commend the applicant on that. So I think seeing that small entry into that 45-degree plane, it convinces me that this is defensible. I'll support it.
Okay. Anyone else? Dylan?
I mean, the angular plane variance is actually fairly small. And I do see in the plans that it would be difficult to accommodate. And I also think that it helps that the building is set back a reasonable amount from the laneway. There is that sort of driveway space. I think that helps to mitigate the privacy and shadow impacts quite a lot. So I think that helps a lot. It's a kind of a funny design inside with that courtyard in the front, but it's what the client wants. And then the other variances really are pretty much almost existing. So I think that it's supportable. I think it does need the privacy. This is a new thing. Apparently, it's a new trend. The privacy planters on the 4th floor, because the 4th floor will have a significant overlook. But because the whole thing is set back a bit, I don't think the side overlook is that significant. I think it's just the east facing that is really where that's needed. So yeah, I think this is supportable and definitely overall a positive contribution to the streetscape.
All right, I'll look for. Oh, Nellie?
Sorry, just not. There is a planning condition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just don't.
Yep. Yep. There's no motion yet, but I will look for a motion. Dylan, did you want to make the motion?
Sure, I'll make the motion. So for the reasons given by myself and my colleague, I move that we approve these variances with the planning condition and with the condition that the 4th floor rear-facing patio have planters along the east side to a height of 1.1 meters and a depth of 0.45 meters to provide some privacy for the people it faces.
Okay. Motion to approve by Mr. Reed, seconded by Ms. Adarodi West. All in favor? Unanimous approval. You have your approval. Thank you very much, sir. We move on to item number 12, 737 Craven.
Through you, Mr. Chair, item 12 has been deferred.
We've done that already.
Yes, so item 13.
chair is a little slow today.
13.
We move on to item 13, 201 Vesta Drive. This is an application to construct a new one-story ancillary structure, a covered cabana, and an in-ground swimming pool, including pool equipment in the rear yard. The existing 2.5-story detached dwelling will be maintained and unaltered. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 5 photographs of trees on the subject property, decision number A0874/12 TUI affecting the subject property, urban forestry staff report, and correspondence and support from 201 Vesta Drive.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
That's great, thank you. All right, it's actually good afternoon.
I was going to say good morning, and then I looked at the time, and it's good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee. My name is Chad Kennedy, and I am the agent to the owners at 201 Vesta Drive. My address is 3030 Breakwater Court, Unit 266.
There's no one registered to speak. Panel, do you want to go straight to questions? Yeah, why don't we do that? Sir, we don't need a presentation today. We've read all the information. We understand the application. We may have some questions for you, though. Dylan?
Okay, no problem.
Hi, yeah. For variance number 1, the soft landscaping, I mean, a lot of that soft landscaping is actually the pool. Is there any way of increasing the actual green soft landscaping at the back so that variance isn't as large?
We've looked at that. Essentially, there are some small areas, possibly around the perimeter, where we could add some soft landscaping. But in the end, when we looked at the actual percentages, or what that percentage would increase from 33.2, it's pretty much negligible. And there's a space to the right of the pool, or I guess you could say to the south of the pool, where they would like to put lounge chairs. So we thought about maybe putting a strip of landscaping across the, I guess you could call it, it's not really a balcony, but the existing deck there. But even adding that small little strip of bedding really wouldn't make a difference in the percentage number. And where we have the pool located as it is now, we don't really want to encroach it any closer to the existing stair that comes down from the existing deck. Right now, we're currently about 1 meter away if we wanted to keep that access where it is. Hence why we've just moved forward with the 33.2%.
Okay, thank you. Is there any spaces there that could be used for, say, like permeable pavers or something like that? Like, I realize obviously some of it's going to have to be solid around a pool, but is there any space that you could use permeable pavers or anything like that?
Yeah, that could be an option. I would have to discuss with the owners and with the contractor, obviously, because there would be a cost involved. But it could be an option to explore.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Nellie?
Yes. When I'm looking at the plans, and we've continued, trying to find some solution to, to the deficiency in landscaping. The area to the east, this, sliver of land, from the back of the house to, I think it's the east portion. What is it paved? Is it?
Yes, that'll all just be pool deck. That's where they would like to put some lounge chairs, or possibly the barbecue, something along that lines.
Okay.
Like I said, there is a strip of space there between the stairs and the pool equipment where we may be able to put a planting bed. I think that would probably be the extent of additional landscaping we could add, at least in that little area. I also wanted to note too that to the west, along the west property line, they have an existing fence area that encroaches on the property line, and that is all existing sod that is going to remain. So there is a large strip of landscaping that they aren't touching. Mind you, it's not on their property.
This is on the city boulevard.
Yes, yeah.
Right, okay. All right, any further questions? Okay, let's take it in the committee. Someone want to make a motion on this? Nellie?
Considering the, considering the site and my concern was the soft landscaping, but I understand it's pretty difficult, and I hope the applicant can find some ways to mitigate it. I don't think we can condition it somehow because it's uncertain. So I would move a motion to approve it.
There is forestry 1 and 2?
Yes, there's forestry condition 1, 2, and I don't see any other conditions from the...
Okay, motion to approve by Ms. Volport with that condition, seconded by Mr. Reed.
Yeah, I'll just agree that I don't see there's no clear way of putting a condition. So I think just the encouragement to try to find more is
And
what
the
we
boulevard's all sodded too, right? So, seconded by Mr. Reed, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much. Sabrina, can we do 15 and 16 together?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes.
Okay. All right, let me just read this into the record. 15 and 16 are basically identical with a couple minor changes, but the purpose is to...
14 and 15.
14 and... Did I say 15 and 16? I'm telling you. 14 and 15, my apologies. They are basically technical variances to sever two properties, and they...
Just a point, the agenda says that they'll be heard after 2.
Yeah, we're just, through you, Mr. Chair, we're just checking that right now.
Oh, you're right.
So the notices may have gone out for 2 o'clock.
Oh, so they're not here, I guess. Of course.
So just 1 second.
We're done.
So we're done until 2.
Thank you. You want to chair today? I mean, you're doing a better job than I am.
I definitely don't.
I'm still, okay, we are adjourned.
Yes, so
until
items 14 through 18 are after 2 o'clock today.
Okay. All right. I have to take my butt up. Apologize, I'm butchering a few things today. I'm sorry, guys. That's awesome.
So we have a long lunch, 2 hours.